Alright, so I tested out this process yesterday. It's pretty interesting that we have. Basically, what I ended up with last night after practicing with it, it's almost like a 3-step process, so to speak, although there's testing involved. So what I ended up doing with it is I wrote down a couple different areas, and basically I tested a percentage for blockage, which seemed like a weird concept, but and my highest one was actually on empathy, because I had been through so much from my marriage, so my empathy was kind of shot. My compassion was still pretty good, but my empathy was shot, which just seems kind of strange, but it's like ability to connect versus caring about other people. So I was high on caring about other people, I just couldn't connect very well for a while there. So that's how that went. So what I tried to do, or gave it a shot to see how that would be, is just to straight use the 1, 2, 3 protocol to clear those blocks. And I'm not completely sure how that will go. It's going to definitely be an experiment to see how well that works. But I will say this, doing that clearing was probably the most aggressive I've done, and that's including the 12,000 statement clear. So I literally felt like I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it through my list, and I only had 10 things to clear on the list, or aspects to clear on the list. So literally I felt like I was dizzy. So I would not do this unless you're going to have the ability to probably go to sleep. So maybe before you go to bed, that way the sleep cycle can help you continue to kind of purge that out. But super aggressive. This was incredibly aggressive. Literally by the 5th or 6th one, I felt like I didn't know if I'd be able to continue. So something was definitely shifting, and this morning I feel really strange. So in a good way, not strange in a bad way, but I definitely feel happier. But I feel like there's more to do, that may be more heart-centered. So I'll have to come up with some different regions or aspects there. So definitely interesting. I might go back to, for example, like the affirmation statements, and find the topic regions and try clearing it that way. Since I think that was a pretty good list of topics, and just see what other topic areas can be done, and just have people start working through it. People that probably have a real bad zone, like my mom would be health. I wouldn't try and do a bunch. I probably would just do one for that night, maybe one a day. Unless it's areas where you feel like, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm somewhere in the middle. But when you do the block clear, this is a little bit different. We're literally purging. If you would imagine, like, rather than tackling it from an emotional level, we're going to try and tackle it from an energetic level. So rather than trying to address each and every statement, every belief statement, try and just treat it like a hose. So if you have a blockage in a hose, literally pushing that blockage out of there and sending that down through essentially like a grounding cord to clear out that energy space. So it's kind of like doing a check on the line to see if there's a block in the line, and then literally purging that line through. I want to try it like this because as much fun as the block clearing is, I like fast, I like easy. I do think there's a lot to be said for people going through their processes, but I'm not sure entirely that it's necessary. I don't really know why we have to sit there and drudge through old stuff, things that have come through our genetics, things that are holding on from old lives, whatever. Maybe there's a benefit to it, but I think it'd be better to literally, it's kind of like, it's the old question of, do you want to keep fixing the old car, or do you just want to get a new car? And I'm like at that point now where It's like, I just want to get a new car. I don't want to keep fixing this beater. Fixing this beater kind of sucks. So I don't, and I am, if I'm a, you know, if I have all the same makeup as creator, then there's no reason why I can't. Why can't I? So I'm gonna do that. That's kind of my goal. That's what I want to do. I mean, we're still gonna have to tackle the different aspects, I think. But this is as close as I've gotten to getting a new car. I'm curious to see how this works, though. And I need to be respectful of the power of energy and also the aspects of the universe being aware and learning. I don't want to depreciate those, but I definitely think that it would be nice to get a little closer to just being able to get a new car, if I can. So that's where that's at. So basically what this is doing is first we're taking a check on, okay, how blocked is the line? What percentage of a blockage do I have with, let's say, love or money or health or empathy or any of these topics, and then check that percentage. So, you know, I have a percent block between 0 and 50, and or, you know, 50 and 60, 60, 70, whatever, until you get into that range, and then pinpoint it. So then you'd go 51, 52, 53, until you nail it. And when you get there, say, okay, I'm like 53% blockage to, you know, to whatever it is. So then you want to clear it. So then we'd use the 1, 2, 3 protocol to clear it. So I'm bringing in everything I need to literally purge out all these blocks related to money. And then running the protocol 2 to bring that into the heart space. And the heart space is where all the work actually happens. It's bringing in the data, theoretically. It's bringing in, you know, it's accessing universal mind store. So, and then it's using that quantum field, basically bringing that energy into the heart space to make it all possible. And the heart space is where everything, all that work gets done. So typically what happens is when you start out, you don't feel much at the heart space on a topic. And then eventually what you'll do is it'll start to feel like an energy ball, and it'll start to feel more and more and more and more. So the more you put your hand, you have your hand literally sitting over your heart space. And I say over because I like to be able to feel the energetic quality and that quality grow. And when it feels like you almost have like an elephant sitting on your chest, there's so much energy there, then you're good. You've got that now, because it's like, it's empowered. You've pretty much just like powered it up. And then you say yes with the accept, and then you running protocol 3 programs, and then allow it to clear the line, so to speak. So that's what we did. And it was interesting because there's another aspect to this that I stumbled across in listening to a couple other folks, and I thought maybe this is something new that we should look at. And so when we would clear the line, there was still obviously some holdup, some hang up. So we tried clearing for contracts, anything that might be binding, and basically saying that those have been fulfilled and completed. And I forget the exact terminology. It's like reviewed, released, or reviewed, what did I say? Reviewed, resolved, and released. So basically being released from any other contracts or any other thing that's binding. So that's, you know, not in our highest good, so to speak. So basically just shifting that, freeing that up, getting that gone. And it was interesting because it'd be the first pass to clear all the blocks and clear the line, and it would be a huge improvement. And then I would do that second shift where it's like we're making the statement of releasing any contracts, and then you know, it could be anything, hexes, vows, curses, I mean, you name it, it could be anything. So that just all that stuff that falls in there. So releasing any contracts or agreements, and then it's basically setting them as, you know, with contracts complete. It's done, it's fulfilled, the agreement's been fulfilled, it's been met, whatever the requirement's been met. And then satisfactory, and then then you just, so it's the same type of protocol. So you put hand behind the head, hand at the chest, and then you're making the statement, you know, and basically releasing, reviewing, approving, and these are complete. And then at the heart space, you're just and you're running protocol 2 for that, and allow all that stuff to come in. And when that feels like it's finally shook free, because it does, what it'll feel a little bit like is like when you get a cold and you feel like your chest feels a little bit stuck. It's almost like it goes from feeling stuck to feeling like a little fireball. It just feels like energy. And it's interesting that the more you do this, the more you can kind of pick up on how that feels. Anyway, so then you shift that, and it hasn't failed yet. That after that shifts over, after you've cleared out all the remaining agreements, then that blockage is gone. So it's like there's two things going on. There's our own blocks and belief systems, but there's also all these other agreements and contracts and programs that are running. So we literally clear those for each zone, and then just it sets it to zero. So once you can get that, once your subconscious there is reading you as a zero blockage for that particular area, then you know your path is clear. So there shouldn't be anything really holding you back anymore. You may have to work through old habits a little bit about like our thinking habits, the thinking protocols, but that part of it should be gone. And then once that's done, next step is to turn our power up. So we want to be able to resonate with this new clarity on, so let's say if it was health, clear the path for health. And once we've cleared that through, the next step is we're going to turn our power up on health, because we want to be able to put that out into the universe of like, I'm ready for good health. And then you're turning up your volume, or turning up your radio, so that you can kind of transmit that out so that it can be returned back to you. And if your power's not real low, you're not gonna really have a lot of effect. You're not gonna affect things much. The changes you see will probably be they'll be there, but they'll be a little pitiful. So it's like, yep, one little step, and little change, instead of just going out of full bore. And like I said in my last recording, the key, it seems, to people being able to affect the most change is when it comes so naturally to them. It's like breathing. It's so easy. So if you take something that you know is just naturally easy for you, your power level with it usually is high. I had one person who we were testing their power level, and they were about an 8 for being mechanically inclined. It was like something that was just so easy for them. And then we did the paper where he put mechanically inclined on the right, and on the left side he put money. I think it was money. So then we just brought it up. We bring it up, and it was at an 8. But I would encourage people to find something that you're at a 10 on your power before doing that. So, and it's literally the same. It's the 1, 2, 3 protocol, but difference is you're anchoring. So you're anchoring something that you're on a 10 power level to, and you're connecting it with something that's not, and then bringing that thing that's not up to the power level that's the other one is at, so that you can experience these two things. And the idea is, it came with that parallel computing concept, is that you're experiencing these two things at once, but you're saying, hey, I want this over here to match, so make these two match, but I'm using this as your reference, your point of reference, so that you can achieve it. It'd be like sitting on the top of the ocean and trying to pull something up. Essentially, it's like, it's just there, and it pulls it up. So that's basically the concept. You have the ability to get the data that you need out there. If there's even one person on this planet that knows how to do something, it's accessible to you. It doesn't. You still would have to. It just becomes a possibility. It opens the door to that possibility. So if you're having a certain area that I guess you feel like you're not affecting as much change in it as you want to, I would check your power level on it. Literally say, my power level with love is between a 0 and a 5, or 5 and a 10. And if you get a yes response, then you can drill down, and then 5, it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, until you get to the point where you're like, okay, wow, I'm only at, like a 6 with love. It's like, well, that's probably why I'm kind of moping through my relationship. Things are all right. Things aren't great. It's kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to see people's power levels so they can see how they're actually functioning in a certain role or under a certain aspect. And like, what's your power level with, with writing? How is that going for you? And it's like, it's at a 5. Okay, so you're doing all right. Like, you're doing somewhat, but you're not really making a lot of progress. Or 6. Okay, well, maybe you made a little progress, but you haven't made a lot of progress. it'd be interesting to like have people give me their power levels on things, and then really map that against how their life's actually going and see if they can tie those things together, and then just have them pump up their power level in that area and see what happens. I think it'd be kind of exciting. And update, so I had find my neighbor stopped by yesterday, and he had just done that 12,001 or whatever clear, and he felt crazy afterwards, and I haven't seen him out front lately, and I thought it was really funny because, gosh, I can't get this frog in my throat. Sorry. So I haven't seen him out there in, I don't know, like 2 weeks. I mean, basically I haven't seen him out there since we did the clearing, and I was really getting worried. I thought, wow, maybe this is like a really bad healing crisis, or what do you think happened? And he has been off the radar. And I say off the radar because this is a guy that's like usually really high strung. And by that I just mean he's usually on the go. He's always going. A little on the anxiety side, say, more like just a super hyper kind of person, just really go. And so he just drops by and he's like, hey, and I'm like, are you okay? And he's fine. He's so fine that he hasn't been worried about anything. He's just been relaxing and enjoying and experiencing and watching stuff, and he mentioned breaking something and didn't really care. It was just like, oh, that sucks, and it's some really old thing that he'd had forever, and typically would have been really upset about it. But yeah, it's just like, oh well, it's just a thing. It doesn't matter. And I guess he's been continuing to run the protocol, so anytime he gets he's feeling a little stressed out, he can rerun those programs and see if he can shift anything else. So he'll just continue to run that big old list of things anytime he starts to feel like, a little out of sorts. So sometimes I think it takes a little bit. Sometimes it takes a little time. You shift something and then you try it a little later. You could probably get it to shift later if it didn't shift the first time. And being that there's so many things on the list, and not many people want to sit through and muscle test 12,000 things, I think it's a completely fine way to handle things. It's much easier. But yeah, no, he went from being completely devastated to new car, new truck. He just got a new truck, and then because when I met him, like everything was wrong. You lose the house, you lose the car, you lose the job. You just like everything's just bad. And it's like we clear it now. It's like, okay, don't care about all this other stuff. New truck, new job, and he's been completely at peace for like, I don't know, ever since I left him. So it's pretty awesome. It was it's a fun little story to hear, and his descriptions of everything line up, because I really didn't have time to go through this whole thing with him. It was kind of a rush thing, and I said, let's just go through this list, we'll do this quick clear, and then just report back and let me know how it goes. And so I didn't have a lot of time to sit down with him and just say, well, here's what's going to happen, and actually this is probably the best way to go, because I didn't have an opportunity to tell him what will happen or what the experiences were. So this was totally raw. His responses to the this bulk clearing process was totally spot on with all the experiences that I've had and others have kind of had with it when they've done that work. But it's interesting because none of that was communicated to him of here's what's going to happen and here's how this works. And so there was no potential for him to I don't know. There's no way for him to have fabricated it really, because no one really told him this is how this will feel, this is how he'll be, like this is how it'll go. And it's like, I mean, I mentioned he might feel calmer, but the experiences that he's had and the way he described it of, having things break and it didn't matter, or, just being calm, or people like getting mad in your face and it just bounces off you, or just you're just in this place, you're in this space. It's just a very different space where you're very clear and everything is calm and you pretty much can make really good decisions, and the stuff that happens doesn't seem big anymore. It just seems like it's a thing that happened. Okay, and you're observing it. And then you just kind of deal with it and you move on. And it doesn't become this monster. And for somebody that was coming from such an extreme to shift so extremely in the other direction and to adjust with literally no healing crisis is exciting, extremely exciting. So I was totally a trip. I was really excited to meet with him, and that was a huge relief, and I believe it because I believe it fully because I haven't seen him out there, and he's that guy like tinkering on his truck all the time, or he'll be out there doing something or other. Instead, it was just like, not that it makes you less prone to doing things, it's just a lot of the reasons he was out there was trying to combat anxiety and just keeping himself busy because his mind was going. And so all that, you take all that away, and he finally gets a chance to just breathe and relax. And yeah, I hadn't seen him out there in weeks. I was like, I better check and make sure he's not in the hospital or something. But nope, everything's great. Sounds like his life's turning around. And then we turned up the money for him last night on his power level, and I'm curious to see how that goes. He's really open to this stuff, and I do think it does help when you're open to this type of stuff, and you don't have all these barriers to, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're open to how these results play out, if you're just open and you're willing to give it a shot, I think that seems to have the maximum benefit, because you're not creating your own roadblock to this stuff working out. And it doesn't mean you have to be stupid and fall for everything. It just means, I think if you're going to do something, you might as well give it your all. And then if it doesn't work out, then that's okay. Just move on to the next thing until you find the thing that does work out. And eventually, as long as you keep looking for it, you will find it. So, he just came at this with, I'm totally open to this. I'm willing to give this a try. And that was it. And he's had a massive, huge, drastic, almost unrecognizable change. I was really surprised. And he said everybody around him's been asking him what happened, what did we do, and how did we change. So it's exciting, I have like big old grin on my face right now because I just love stuff like this. It's so much fun. I was like, you almost couldn't pay me. It's too much fun. It's too much fun. I was like, if people paid me for this, I don't know what I would do, because it seems wrong to get paid for doing something that's so much fun. But I guess that's the whole goal, right? Be in your joy and make money doing what you enjoy doing. So I fully expect that to be how my life plays out, to do this stuff and just have so much fun doing it, because literally, a year or two, I feel like a completely different person. And today, because I probably pushed it too far, and I did probably like 7 of those last night. I actually didn't make it through them all, and I'm typically a really stubborn person. I will just push through anything, and so for me to say I'm not going to finish this tonight, it was a big deal. So for me to go, so obviously whatever's shifting, it's big and it's a lot. And so for me to literally stop doing this midway was kind of unheard of for me. So I don't usually like to leave things unchecked off my list, so to speak, and this one was not. I couldn't do it. I literally couldn't. It's like I just can't run that last mile. I just have to stop. I'm going to hurt myself. So I don't that you'd hurt yourself. Just, it was exhausting, really. It's like your head just feels like, blah. Like if you were to, I don't know if I can explain it. It's like when you hold your breath for a really long time, and your head gets kind of where you're almost at a blackout phase, but you're not blacking out. You just feel kind of like your head is spacey, a little spacey. That's how it was feeling. So I just wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole unless you're going to just do one, or if you're going to be knowing that you're going to go to bed that night, because it will knock you off your feet. So not for the weak-willed, so to speak. Because you're literally saying, hey, look, just purge all this stuff out of this hose. Just get rid of it. I'm done. I'm sick of this hunt and peck to figure out what's wrong with me. I don't have the patience for it. I don't even need it. You know, the universe is all knowing. I'm tapping into that. Just get this stuff out. Gone. Bye-bye. I'm done. It's like, I don't have patience for it. You know, bottom line, brown personality type. It's like, just get it out. I'm done. It's over. You know, it's kind of like when you've just had that relationship and you've just had enough. And it's like, I've had enough with this relationship of bad relationship with money, and it's going to end right this second. And I'm purging it out. I'm just going to shift all this crummy energy out. Any blocks that I had, any contracts that are preventing me from being successful, and they're gone, and bye-bye, and clear it, and then test for it. And then once you've tested for it, you're finally at zero, then great. And then once you're at zero, you're like, okay, now I can turn my power up. But I do think it's kind of vital that you clear out all the old baggage before you turn your power up, because I'm not exactly sure what happened if you were carrying 6,000 pounds of baggage and then you turned your bad baggage power up. So it's totally, to me it would be kind of logical that that the design would be that if you are holding a whole bunch of beliefs that are terrible for you, that you would turn the power down, because you wouldn't want to be emanating out terrible things. You know, I mean, it's totally possible to do it, but I'm not sure you'd want to do it. So, I mean, in a compassionate universe, it would kind of make some sense that the design be that you would dial down what you're emanating out if you're else. But I think that's the design of it. But I think that's the actual mechanical design of it, because what happens is that block flow actually, if you think of it like a hose, if you have a block in the hose, having the blocks by default is going to make your power less anyway, right? But you can clear by clearing the blocks out. So if you had a blocked hose, right, you could still have low power, but then you could turn, so that you turned it down, right? Because you don't want it blowing back in your face. So you have a hose, you turn it full blast, it's blocked, you get, you know, it starts to bubble at the bottom, right? So you turn it way down, maybe even off, and then but you still have to clear the line. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to turn the power back up. And I guess that's where I'm at. It's like, clear the line and then turn the power back up, and then you should have a full flowing hose. That's the theory. I'm excited to test this out. I cannot wait. We'll see how it goes for him, and then see how it goes for me. I turned it up on a couple things that I could visibly see, so like for weight loss and for metabolism, and you know, several others. I'll probably keep going. I'm really excited to see how this goes. I mean, probably the best way to test it would be just to do one and wait a few weeks, but I'm just going to do them, and we'll see how everything turns out. It'll be very interesting. I mean, obviously for me it'll be the most noticeable if weight loss kicks in, or if the money stuff starts to just really blow the doors open, because then I'll know that this totally works, because that's one area that's just kind of shuffled along like an old person but I don't have a lot of stuff left to clear for it. I really didn't even have that much stuff left to clear on it when I did that hose clearing thing. It wasn't even that much, but anyway, so fascinating. I think it's going to be fun. I cannot wait to test it. It's kind of a cool new way of doing things, and I don't know if there's other people out there doing something similar, then bravo to them. I hope it works for them. I hope it works for me. And this is fun stuff. I'm enjoying it. Okay, bye.